It's time to roll for Turaco.
Welcome to Roll for Turaco. That's how I start every video on my YouTube channel, Roll for Turaco. You might be wondering why it's called Roll for Turaco. Well, on my channel, I cover role-playing games, I play some games, and I roll a lot of dice. And a Turaco is a colorful bird from Africa, and it became part of my brand a few years ago when I started another YouTube channel where I interviewed creative people, and my co-host loved the Turaco, so we called it the Turaco Creative Cast, and that logo, that brand, carried on to almost everything that I do. I wanted to start doing something creative with games using our characters, and I would even design some of my characters. You can see here on the side, I have these characters here. And on HeroForge.com, you can create these miniatures. I had some made. But before I digress, what did I want to do? What kind of game did I want to play? I wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons. And I had always heard that you shouldn't play Dungeons and Dragons because it involves sorcery and witchcraft, and it can lead you down to a bad road. So I stayed away from it until I started learning more and more about it because it kept coming up. People were playing not just Dungeons and Dragons, but other role playing games, and I wanted to see what is all the fuss about. And I looked into it. What I found scared me, not because it was witchcraft, because it involved math, and I hate math. Math is the bane of my existence. But I pushed through, and I saw that you can create characters as I demonstrated, created my own characters. And you have other characters that you can play with. These can be your monsters or your players, your PCs or NPCs, that's non-player characters. And there's lots of cool stuff that you can do. You create an ongoing story with a group of people. And as I'm looking more and more into this, there's no real witchcraft. There's spells, but these are just simple things like I roll for magic missile. There's no actual crafting of witchcraft. There's also clerics. So there's holy people in this game. So I delved in. I looked into what I could find, and I looked into the original Dungeons and Dragons game, and I found rules upon rules upon rules, and that was giving me a headache. But I found this version called Basic Fantasy, and it's simplified rules that anyone can play. Anyone from 9 years old and up can play this game, and it's not that many pages. You can see how thick it is. It's not that thick. And if you want an even lighter game, I found one that's just a pamphlet. So this is even less rules, and it's still fun. I ran a game with this pamphlet with my kids once, but I'm jumping ahead. Before I did any of that, I was doing research and research and research, and I never did anything. I sat on these things. I sat on these books. I sat on these miniatures. I sat on these dice until one day my son calls me up and says, "Dad, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons," because he had been watching this show called Stranger Things, and they played Dungeons and Dragons on that show. All right, son, I do have some things. When you come over, son, I told him, we will play a game. And we did. I was so nervous because I thought, I really don't know what to do. I took on the role of a game master, and that's the person that controls the narrative. They can use a GM screen like the one I have here, that's the game master screen. And this is just to hide my notes, hide my dice, hide my rolls. I don't always like to use it. I like to be very open with my players, but if I have lots of notes, I like to keep it behind this little cubicle. So we're playing this game. We're playing the starter version of D&D, and my son is having fun. My daughter joins in. Later on, my son Matthew joins in. And Matthew, he loves video games, so he's on his phone. So for him to put down his phone and start playing a game with us, that was a big deal. I knew if he is interested in this, then I'm on the right path. Now with game mastering, you have lots of roles you have to fill. You're the narrator, you're the storyteller, you're the one deciding the rules. You also prep your game. And it's like fatherhood. There's lots of roles in fatherhood. Sometimes you're the bus driver, you're the chauffeur, you're the teacher at home, you're teaching your sons and daughters lessons that they need to learn. And also like Toastmasters, there's lots of roles in being a Toastmaster. There's the grammarian, there's the Toastmaster of the meeting, there's table topics, and on and on. And sometimes doing these roles can be scary, whether you're a father, whether you're a Toastmaster, whether you're a game master, or you're doing anything worth doing. There's going to be new roles you're going to be pushed into achieving. And that's what I like about role-playing games. You are delved into this world of fantasy, this world of fun and make-believe. Sometimes characters die, sometimes characters come back from the dead, sometimes you fight dragons. In my game, sometimes we fight Turacos, because I like Turaco, so I added that in my game. And that's something you can do. You can homebrew anything you want into this type of game. So that was one of my first times where I fulfilled my roles. But I don't want to just fulfill a role. I want to master a role. So what I did is, after so much hesitation, I decided I'm going to start running a club. And that was even scary because now I'm taking on this responsibility of creating a place where people can come and play. And for the first few months, I had some people come, I had some people go. But this last time at the Farm Memorial Library, where we meet every month to play a game, I had two players, two teenage boys, and they had so much fun that just them showing up and them having fun and engaging in the story that I had for them. I ran a version of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Which I have right here. This is the flyer that we ran at the library. And they loved it. And they were asking me questions because they were doing things that I hadn't planned out. And that's what's going to happen. That happens in life. That happens in fatherhood. That happens in Toastmasters. Sometimes you don't have a time. Sometimes you don't have a grammarian. Sometimes you overspent your budget and you have to eat ramen. So you do what you gotta do. And that's a little bit of game mastery. There's things that my players did that I hadn't planned for, but we were able to get on track, and I work with their crazy ideas, and we had a great time. So I'm here to tell you, do something new. If it's something that you're scared of doing, you want to jump in, just jump in. You might end up loving it. I love being a father. I love Toastmasters, and I love being a game master. So take your dice, take a chance with a roll of the dice, do something new, and don't forget to roll for Turaco.
Roll for Turaco. Subscribe.